This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
One of the major worries in this year's election, voter fraud. It's something some politicians claim is happening across the country, putting elections at risk.
We have heard from dozens of Central Texans wondering just how pervasive this problem really is in Texas. KXAN investigative reporter Jody Barr went to work to find answers to those questions. And Jody, what did you find out?
Well, Robert, first off, voter fraud does happen in Texas, and it's something that's gone on for decades. State Attorney General's office records show Texans have been prosecuted for committing voter fraud in every election in the past 15 years, including the one underway tonight. We want to put those cases into context and to offer you perspective on how they could possibly impact the outcome of the 2020 election. In September, a 2-year-long investigation into the election that put Gregg County Commissioner Shannon Brown into power is finished. He won the race against Kasha Williams by only 5 votes.
This is about seeing if the law was broken, and if so, holding people accountable.
Investigators say Commissioner Brown, working with 3 others, stole the election. They applied for mail-in ballots under other people's names, people who were not disabled and who should not have voted by mail, according to the Attorney General's office. Those 4 now face 134 felony counts of voter fraud and are awaiting trial. Just last month, Dallas area investigators say they busted a Carrollton mayoral candidate with a box of mail ballots. The investigation shows Zul Muhammad opened a P.O. box in a nursing home's name. Investigators monitored the post office when Muhammad went to pick up the ballots.
We actually had an undercover police officer hand him the box in his vehicle. At that point, surveillance teams followed him to a residence in Carrollton.
There, investigators say they found ballots, some opened in Muhammad's bedroom. Prosecutors say Muhammad also forged at least 84 voter registrations. He faces 109 felony charges of voter fraud. Despite the evidence, Muhammad's attorney called the investigation a political hit job.
My client has been running for mayor of Carrollton, and he has some enemies in that city with some connections, and I think he definitely have fallen victim to some framing here.
Well, we wanted to know just how big a problem voter fraud is across Texas. We asked Central Texas district attorneys whether they had ever prosecuted a case of voter fraud. We found one. It happened in 2016 when the Caldwell County District Attorney prosecuted a woman for voting twice in both primaries. She was charged with a misdemeanor and paid a $500 fine. But when we filed a records request with the Texas Attorney General's office to find out about their voter fraud complaints, we found hundreds of cases. Since 2004, the Attorney General's office received 893 voter fraud complaints. Those complaints led to 150 people prosecuted on election fraud charges. Those prosecutions happened in 39 of the state's 254 counties. Of the 150 people charged, only 138 were convicted.
I know that it's a high percentage of our convictions are mail-in ballot fraud.
Our analysis of Attorney General prosecutions between 2004 and today shows mail-in ballot crimes were less than half of the AG's convictions. Those convicted of voter fraud in Texas rarely end up in jail. Of the 138 people convicted, only 24 spend at least 1 day in jail. 114 others, the AG's office agreed to let them walk away with either probation or pretrial diversion as punishment.
That's why it's a prevalent problem. There's not usually much punishment for it, but I think the good thing about finding it and doing a thorough job of investigation and prosecution is at least you send the message to people that if you're going to do this, there is some risk that you're going to end up in prison for committing voter fraud.
What do these numbers tell you?
Well, it says 2 things. One, there's not a lot of complaints compared to all the ballots cast. What we see is not a lot of complaints followed up by not a lot of convictions.
Dr. Brian Smith is a political science professor at St. Edward's University in Austin. Do these numbers still rule out the fact that there could be far more cases of voter fraud in Texas that have just not been prosecuted, or those people just not have been caught?
Well, we know that there is going to be fraud in every single election. No election is perfect, but the amount of it tends to be very, very small, and these numbers show that. but there's just not enough of that going on to really swing the election.
Another point the professor makes is that in Texas, elections typically are not close. For example, the Ted Cruz Beto O'Rourke U.S. Senate race 2 years ago, it was the closest Senate race in Texas in 40 years, and O'Rourke still lost by 220,000 votes. If you suspect voter fraud, there are several ways to report it. You can file a police report, file a complaint with the Texas Secretary of State or with the Department of Justice. What you'll need is simple ways to contact you and be specific about the dates, times, locations, and names of everyone involved. Links to where you can report voter fraud are waiting for you on our website at kxan.com.